I'm going to walk you through this figured bass of the week number 4. I had a number of questions about it. So let's go and check this out. I'm going to do the bass line first. The root of the 1 chord. This means the third of the 5 chord is in the bass. And since we're in minor, that has to be raised. It's the leading tone. We're back to the root of the 1 chord, root of the 4 chord. 5-4-2 means the 7th of the 5 chord. G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, F sharp is in the bass. This goes to 1-6. Now this right here, this 5-6-4 with the dashes, does not mean this is a 5 chord in second inversion. If the dashes were not there, this would be a 5 chord in second inversion. But since the dashes are there and it's connecting it to a 5 chord, then this is a cadential 6-4, which means that 5, the 5th scale degree, is in the bass for both chords. And then this tells you above that stationary bass, 6 steps down to 5, 4 steps down to 3. And then we resolve to 1. I'm going to fill in a nice evenly spaced initial chord, properly doubled, within the correct range. And this is an inverted 5-6-5, or an inverted 5-7 chord, which should always be complete and which should always be as smoothly integrated into the lines around it as possible. If I do this, you can see everything is either a common tone or a stepwise motion in the soprano, stepwise motion in the tenor, and we have a complete chord. Now I'm going to resolve into the next chord, and in that 5-6-5, the leading tone is in the bass, already resolving up. We need the 7th of the chord is the F sharp, needs to resolve down. Let's keep our common tone. And then let's go for the proper doubling. Now, if you look at this, you will see that, look at the alto line. It is a stationary tone that repeats. Look at the soprano line. It's a neighbor note. E goes up to F sharp and comes back down. Look at the tenor line. Also a neighbor note. It steps up and steps back down. The bass line is a lower neighbor note, steps down and back up. So chords 1 and 3 are exactly the same, and the chord in the middle is embellishing it. And if you hear it, it's going to sound like an incredibly smooth connection. So give that a listen. All stepwise neighbor motions and such. So now we're just at triadic part writing. You all are pros at this by now. So here we have a good doubling, spacing, moving into it as smoothly as possible. All right, so now we have 5-4-2. So it's G sharp, B sharp, D sharp, and F sharp. Okay, we already have the F sharp in the bass. This A right here is an A natural, and we have to go to B sharp in this chord. You might be tempted to put a B sharp right here in the alto line, but then when you check, it will tell you your progression has motion by an augmented interval in measure 4. So if you look at this, this is an A natural going to a B sharp. That's an augmented second. That's difficult to sing. That's that spot in the harmonic minor scale between the 6th and the 7th scale degree. So this voice cannot go here. So it has to step down to G. We're going to need also the B sharp, which has to go in the tenor. Can't go in the soprano, because that would be also a leap of a diminished interval. And now we have G sharp, B sharp, no D sharp, and we have F sharp. So that leaves us no choice but to put the D sharp in the soprano, which means that we have a leap in the soprano. This is what it sounds like so far. So now we're going to resolve this 5-4-2. The 7th is in the bass. That already resolves appropriately. We need the leading tone in the tenor to resolve up. We want to keep the common tone in the alto. And then in the soprano, I'm going to double the root. So there's our 1-6. Now we are moving into the cadential 6-4. When you double a cadential 6-4 or any 6-4, you always double the bass, which is the 5th of the chord. So I'm going to get that in right away so we won't make any mistakes. Now these figures right here with the dashes tell you exactly what to write. Tells you to write a 4th above the bass that resolves to a 3rd above the bass. And it tells you to write a 6th above the bass that resolves to a 5th above the bass. Now when we just did this with triads, we would keep the common tone. But now this is asking for a 5-7, so this voice is also going to move. I want to check this and see if this says there's any problems. Measure 8 is not in the given Roman numeral. 6, 7, 8. Oh. Yeah, good job. That's a D on top. Thank you, Artusi. There we go. Now I'll check it and see. Partially correct because we're not done. Okay, so if you look at this cadential 6-4, it has a G sharp, which is the bass. That's the 5th scale degree doubled. There's a 4th above the bass and a 6th above the bass. Each of these steps down, and that automatically gives us the next chord. 6 steps down to 5, 4 steps down to 3, and the octave steps down to give us the 7th of the chord. Now if you look here between the alto and tenor, you have a C sharp and a G sharp. That's a 5th. And here we have a B sharp and an F sharp. At first glance, you might think that's parallel 5ths. From here, alto and tenor, to here, alto and tenor. And it is parallel 5ths, but the first one is perfect and the second one is diminished. And again, I could prove to you that this is not a problem because Artusi doesn't flag it as a problem. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to resolve into our final chord. We want to resolve the 7th first. It's right here. Next, we want to resolve the leading tone. I'm going to take it up here. And then remember, we go from a complete 5-7 to an incomplete 1 chord. And I'm going to check this, and it should be perfect. There we go. Another option for the closing would have been to frustrate the leading tone if we wanted a complete final chord. Let me check. Yeah, and Artusi says that's fine, as it should. Hear it one more time and then we'll be done. So I hope this was helpful. I will do a walkthrough video for the figured base that I'm going to post for this week, which will be up yet today. All right, thanks everybody. That's it for now. See you in the next one.